Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. What's next? Lego The Last of Us, the Ellie Saga? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Hannah Pfarr. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including new Switch games that were announced at non-Nintendo Direct events this week. And then on Thursday, Mark and I are finally finishing what we started and creating the ultimate ranking of all 96 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But Hannah, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Hold on one second.
Yes.
At gmail.com. There, now you can splice that in.
Just getting that clean.
When I inevitably forget it later.
No, it's okay. I like it when a guest like remembers it or forgets it, or like, I mean, there's I believe it's in the episode that's coming out on Thursday. Mark misses one.
Oh no, I think that was last week.
Was it last week?
Yeah.
Okay. It's one of my favorite things to just like watch it, like, you know, happen, like normal machinery firing the way it's supposed to, and then just every now and then nosedive.
Yeah. I was the last time I was on 2 years ago. I was like, that's the one thing I can't miss, and of course I did.
Well, it's look, it sounds like it's easy, right? Like if you're listening at home and you've got no pressure around you, right? You'd be like, yeah, it's super easy to say at gmail.com with Patrick, right?
Yep.
But it's the pressure's on. Things get different when the pressure's on.
Indeed.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining me for kind of a weird news episode as we exist in this like pre-Nintendo Direct but post many other presentations, June thing.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening right now.
I mean, there were actually some surprises on the notes that you sent me, so I'm excited to talk about them.
Very good. Before we do, I just want to shout out quickly the patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you can get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries that we're putting out. We are currently making our way through NCS Arcade, where Mark and I are playing games on Nintendo Switch Online or Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack that we've never beaten before. We just put out an episode on the original NES Metroid, which Hannah, I believe I first encountered at your house.
That could be. Yeah, I definitely had that in the collection.
A copy of that?
Yeah.
What's your experience with the original Metroid? Did you guys, you and your brother, make it through it, or
no? Outside of using Justin Bailey, of course.
Right, of course.
Played it quite a bit. It's I think you mentioned on your episode that it is really easy to get lost without a map. And it is very challenging too. I felt like I knew the game pretty well, but never put it all together to do a run. So yeah, and by today's standards, it's rough.
Yeah, it would. True. I gotta say though, like with a map, I rammed my head against the wall, like just trying to, you know, go at it on my own. But as soon as I was like, I'm getting a map, I'm marking the areas where like weird stuff happens. And that it transforms the game and makes it playable. I think I may love it now. I don't know.
Excellent. That's awesome.
But so you can check that out. The next game that we are playing for June's NCS Arcade is Earthbound, a game that both Mark and I have played a little bit. But we're digging into a big 16-bit RPG because it's a weird blind spot for us. You have any experience with Earthbound?
I do not. No. And you know, until very recently, I've not been much of a fan of JRPGs, which might be changing now. Not to jump the gun a little bit too much.
Well, we'll get to that. But yeah, so if you there, listener, have any input about either Metroid or Earthbound, please email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And we will very good, Hannah. And
Thank you
we
for
will
splicing that
incorporate
in.
those. I refuse. You know I don't do any editing to these things. And we will incorporate your emails into our episodes about these games. Metroid, we are like looping back around to answer questions and stuff. So if you haven't sent those in yet, Mark and I will be recording sometime next week. So get those in sooner rather than later. That'll be a fun little supplemental conversation. And then, frankly, we need guidance on Earthbound. We don't know. We can't make heads or tails of this thing. So please write in and let us know. You should join our Discord if you have not already. Email us again, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And I will send you an invitation, and then you can be in there. A Nintendo Direct will happen, and you should be in there to chat about it when it does. And then just the last thing, of course, I got to plug my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book. Issues 1, 2, and 3 are in comic book stores right now. Issue 4 is coming out later this summer. I've got a fun joke in issue 3 that I want people to discover.
Okay, I'll take a look for it.
It's in the multiverse of Bebop and Rocksteady section.
Okay,
it's a joke I can't believe I got past the people at Nickelodeon. That's all the housekeeping. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. So I'm a bit of a broken record here. I'm still hypnotized by Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I won't talk long about it, but I just want to say that I have passed the point of no return in the game.
Okay. Now,
so there's go ahead.
Obviously, this sounds like not your several time a year good gaming experience. This seems like I don't want to say generational, but is this like shaping up to be an all-time favorite of yours?
Yes. I always I like Final Fantasy VII Remake quite a bit. But there are a lot of ways where I feel like it lets down the vision of the original Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
And it just, the original Final Fantasy VII is so thematically rich and like smart, and I think it does stuff with the story it tells and the way it like integrates gameplay into that story that is, just like sort of S tier amazing stuff. And I feel like Rebirth is absolutely doing that same thing, but maybe even better. Plus, I'm just having more. The combat in Rebirth is so snappy and so fun. And every time I get into a fight, I'm like, yes, let's do 10 more of these.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Now, I understand that these remakes are subverting the original game. Like, would I get the same amount of enjoyment having not played the original?
So here's okay. No, you wouldn't get the same amount of enjoyment. I do think that they are probably still very fun games. But I am also like perplexed as I'm playing these. Like there are things that are happening where I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at, or like I don't know who these people are. So like you will probably just have more experiences like that. But as long as you just like accept a little bit of anime nonsense and like hold on tight, it's a pretty fun ride.
Excellent.
But I want to hear about what you have been playing.
Yeah, so I'm playing an older game. I'm not sure if you've heard of this series before, but this game's called Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
I know I'm 30 years late to this. Like I said before, I've struggled to really enjoy the genre, and I've had this kind of flagged as someday I'm going to get to that. And
right. Well, and 6 is one. This is one of those games that I probably wouldn't never stopped telling you was good. Right.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. Although I am just now. Let me back up. It's sort of silly because I feel like I'm at like the halfway point. We've talked about where I am, right, more or less, and I hadn't had to grind yet.
Right. Yeah.
And
You're
and
playing the Pixel remaster, I assume.
correct. Yeah, and I haven't messed with any of those settings about
Yeah.
like leveling up faster or anything like that. But I was kind of remarking to myself like, oh, it might be kind of fun to have to grind to get more powerful. And then now it's gotten really challenging all of a sudden, and I'm like, I have to grind.
Well, and like you've reached the point where like you're in the world of ruin
Yeah.
and you've collected like the sort of like core like starting party group in the world of ruin, and you've got the airship again.
Yes.
That's when like the game truly opens up, and it's like, who do you want to go after next?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so the rest of the game is like recruiting the 10 additional player characters that are out there for you to get. And then, I mean, if you wanted to right now, you could go and land on Kefka's tower and just get rolled.
That's
Um,
what I thought I had read somewhere. Yeah.
yeah.
But and so
Um,
that's really, I mean, yeah. So what you're saying, it sounds like there are, it's all side quests and one main quest left, basically.
right.
Okay.
Right. And like there are ways to approach it where the side quests get like steadily more difficult.
Mm,
Um, but there, if you flew to the Phoenix Cave right now and attempted to get Locke, like you could do it, but that's one of like it's like the second hardest dungeon in the game, like
okay.
like just after the final one. So, but yeah, it's the section of the game that you are in right now is awesome, and I'm so excited for you to experience like gathering up those party members and just like finding the things that you can do in like the Coliseum or places to level up your espers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Are you using any guide, or like how are you approaching this part of the game?
Only when needed.
Yeah.
I've gotten kind of lost maybe one or two times, and then when I was in Daryl's tomb, about to get the Falcon, is that the name of the new airship?
Yes.
That boss in there, it was like I couldn't even do anything. I was done within a turn.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, and they were like, "Oh, if you wager this item at the Coliseum, you get this armor for Celeste, and it'll make it pretty easy." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna do that, and not worry about quote unquote cheating."
No, it's not. Look, the back half of that game is so big and so like spread out. If you don't encounter them naturally, look up how to recruit Gogo and Umaro, the
Okay,
two like hidden characters. Do you know about them at all?
are they okay? Because I this is a question I had for you: is are
Yeah.
they the ones that are the white mage and the black mage from the first game?
No,
Oh,
those
okay,
those aren't really in 6, but yeah. So just to tell you who they are or like what they are, and I'm not gonna go like spoilery, but Gogo is a mimic. So you can equip them with so they have mimic as like they just repeat the last move that was done, or you can give them anyone else's ability. So like
oh, okay,
you can give them blitz and tool and magic, right?
okay,
So like he becomes incredibly versatile. And then Umaro is an abominable snowman, um,
excellent.
who you can't control. He's in permanent rage mode, and he just deals a ton of damage.
Okay, cool.
So I am very excited to hear your journeys as you continue on there.
Definitely. I am also playing Balatro, somewhat obsessively. I know there's been a lot of discourse in the gaming community, but I haven't heard you guys talk about it at all. Um, and I didn't think it would be something I would be interested in. I don't really care for poker, and I don't really play that many like roguelikes or roguelites.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you are a tabletop gaming kind of girl. Like you play
That
card
is true.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's amazing how quickly it became like an obsession for me. And
Mm.
like how many times the first week I was staying up way too late playing poker hands and multiplying my chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I really enjoyed. Good game.
Yeah, we have not. Mark and I have not mentioned it on the show, just because we neither of us have been playing. It doesn't really sound like a Mark Mitchell game.
Hmm.
I think I would probably love it. Uh, but when it came out, I was in like Turtles deadline mode.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm Final Fantasy VII Rebirth rotted. So like I can't I can't really think about anything else.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of turtles, I have finally been doing the Cowabunga collection, which I know I'm a couple years
Yeah.
late to that too. But I'm playing on PlayStation, and I've gotten it in my head that I'm going to try to get the platinum trophy, and I'm making some pretty good progress on that.
So I assume for that you have to beat every game.
Yes.
Are there any like weird stretch trophies that feel like they're going to be a problem?
No, no. I think the most pain in the butt one is going to be the NES Turtles.
Just beating that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if
So
I need
yeah.
to, I can do the watch mode and then jump in at the
Mm,
last second to
right.
beat it, but that doesn't feel good. I want to actually beat it with
Yeah, I
rewind
mean,
a lot.
of course, spam the rewind. I was able to beat NES Turtles the same way, and like it felt like a cinder block had been sitting on my chest for 30 years, and it just evaporated.
Yeah, nice.
Because I devoted so much time to that game as a kid, as I'm sure you did
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, not as much as you, but definitely.
I wanted to love it, and like to the point where I think I tricked myself into sort of loving it. Um, but yeah, it's being able to actually get to the end of it and see the end. What was incredible. Have you what highlights have you found playing through the Cowabunga collection?
One thing I was really surprised about is, especially looking at the two arcade games and then the
Hmm.
NES and Super NES ports of those, and then even looking at something like Manhattan Project. Basically, all of the brawlers that are made for console are so much more playable. Like
Yes.
shockingly so. I was really surprised at how unfun the arcade versions were because they
Yeah.
just felt cheap.
Yeah.
And they actually like changed it so that these home brawlers are actually enjoyable.
Yes.
But then on the flip side of that, how bloated they felt. Like if you look at the original arcade game, like the first level, and you compare it to the NES version, the NES version of that first level just keeps going and going and going
Right.
and going,
Right.
whereas the arcade version is kind of
It's
concise.
a lot tighter and quicker. Yeah. Well, because I mean, it behooves the arcade version to get you to the boss sooner because
Right.
the boss will eat your quarters.
Right.
You know.
Right.
um, yeah. Uh, Man, I played through the arcade version of Turtles in Time last summer with three friends, and like maybe three levels into it, we were like, "This sucks, but let's finish it."
Right.
Um, and then like played for another hour, hating it. like,
Right. Right.
and the game gets less fun as it goes.
Hmm. Hmm. Super Nintendo version though, real fun.
Super, yeah, pretty good,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
and
Maybe a little too long.
I had never played the Genesis one, Hyperstone Heist. And that was, I mean, it's just like more Turtles in Time, basically,
Right.
which was delightful.
Now you and I are both fans of the fighting genre. I
Yes.
don't know why. I don't know why I'm like tiptoeing around it. um, but so there are three different fighting games in the Cowabunga collection.
All
They're
with the
all
same
called.
title.
Yes, that's right. And the conventional wisdom is that the Super NES one is like the only good one. But have you been messing around with those at all?
I did get the trophy for the Super Nintendo one. That's all I've done so far. And I am pretty consistent in saying that playing fighting games against a computer is not very fun.
Yeah.
And that was certainly the case. I used the term cheap before, and it was ridiculous. I was rewinding an obscene amount to get through that. It was like
Who?
every time I got
Yeah.
hit, I would rewind,
Oh
and
my
because I'd
god.
know that I could block instead or
Right.
something. And then Donatello had some ridiculous base attack that was this huge anti-air and a poke. and I just
Yes.
spammed that move the entire time.
Very good. Have you checked out the other two versions yet?
I played maybe 2 minutes of the NES one out of curiosity, and I was like,
The NES one is fascinating.
but it's rough.
Yeah, no, it is broke. Like it is not really a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because there are so few one-on-one fighters on NES, like it's like that and Joy Mecha Fight, and like I can't really think of other examples.
Right. And I've never played the latter. I know you've talked about it recently and really enjoyed it, though.
It's surprisingly playable. I recommend checking it out. It's on Nintendo Switch Online.
Excellent.
All right, well, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. Okay, and actually, this is where I need to step in and say, first of all, I messed up last week and didn't point out a game that I was excited about coming out, which came out last Thursday, I think. A game called Fading Afternoon. Hannah, are you familiar with Fading Afternoon?
I am not. And also, I'll say that I didn't know until just now if this was a sidebar just for me or if this was...
This is in the podcast. It's all in the podcast.
Okay.
Fading Afternoon. Fading Afternoon is a sort of a brawler, sort of a role-playing game with a pixel art style where you play as a Yakuza heavy who is just getting out of jail and like rejoining his place in the crime family. And it has this insanely detailed animations for the combat, and the combat is very I was gonna say fluid, but it also feels appropriately clumsy and heavy, where you don't feel like you're a ninja, you feel like you are a tough getting into brawls.
Interesting.
And the game has a designated smoke your cigarette button, so at any point you could take a drag on a cigarette.
And does that allow you to see invisible lasers a la Metal
Gear?
Gear?
So far it is not like Metal Gear.
All right.
Metal Gear, but it's a Hind D. What's a Russian gunship doing here? Anyway, so it is a cool game that's been out on Steam for a while, and I just picked it up this afternoon, and I'm very interested to dig into it deeper, and win my way back into this crime family.
That sounds actually super interesting. I'm excited to hear your further thoughts about it.
And then the other thing that we have to shout out, of course, we didn't know at the time, but we got new updates to Nintendo Switch Online, the Game Boy library, Friday, June 7th. Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5 all dropped simultaneously, the Game Boy versions of these games, which, to my knowledge, they'd never been collected anywhere. They were never part of the Mega Man what were the Master Collection? What are those things called?
Legacy Collection?
Legacy, thank you. But yeah, all 5 of them suddenly available on NSO, and I'm super excited to check those out.
I've never played them, but I seem to recall you had a few of them and really enjoyed them.
I did, yes. I had the first 2, I think. But they have such a cool gimmick where the first one of these games has 4 Robot Masters from Mega Man 1 and 4 Robot Masters from Mega Man 2. And then Mega Man 2 has the other 4 from 2 and then 4 from 3. So it kind of builds these mashup lineups, and you have to redo the math in your head of okay, so who would be weak to this? And it's always cool to apply that weapon weakness triangle in a different way.
Right. Yeah, that is really cool.
So I'm very excited to check those out. Okay, those are one of those was a goof, and the other one was we didn't know because they never tell us when these things are coming out.
Right.
Moving on to this week, Jeremy and I mentioned it last week, but now you can buy Homelander on Mortal Kombat 1 if you want to buy him a la carte. Hannah, are you a The Boys watcher?
I watched the first season, and I thought it was fine.
Yep.
And then it was actually just like a month or two ago. I was like, oh, I got to get back to that. And I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes of season 2, and it's just so violent and gory. And not that I like, not to sound like a prude, because it like doesn't bother me, but it's just like I didn't need it, I guess.
Yes.
And like I thought I could just watch things that make me feel better.
Yeah, I mean, yes. We don't need to torture ourselves with things that are making us feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm also noticing here in because I just grabbed like a complete list of like things that that are coming out, but I hadn't really highlighted it or looked into it. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night Classic 2 Dominique's Curse DLC is coming out. So Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. These are the like 8-bit spin-off games of Bloodstained that were developed by Inti Creates. It's a Castlevania like. That could be good. I just want to shout it out. I had no idea if it is, but very well could be. Did you play any of the Bloodstained
what was
games?
the first demake? Was that Curse of the Moon? Whatever that was the
Right.
one I played, and I thought it was good. I didn't love it as much as everyone seemed to.
I mean, those games are like king of good, right? Where you're just like,
right,
that is a good game. It's not going to change my personality, but it's good. And then on June 14th, that's this Friday, 2 big releases on Switch: Monster Hunter Stories, the like original first game that was being remade for Switch, comes out on Friday, as well as Shin Megami Tensei V, or I guess 5 Vengeance. That's like the souped up version of SMT5, and then the original one is getting delisted as a result. So
okay,
yeah, so you can only buy the like juiced up version. Is any of that of interest to you, Hannah?
Not anything of what you listed necessarily, but can we go back to June 12th? Do you know anything about Roxy Raccoon's Pinball Panic?
I do not.
I do like video pinball, even though you slandered video pinball on a recent episode.
I did. Just last week, yes. Yeah, I don't know anything about Roxy Raccoon's Pinball Panic. That sounds like it's not in any of the like existing video pinball engines, right?
I mean, I mostly play Pinball Effects, and by extension, like Pinball M, which is what you were talking about last week. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it would say specifically that was like a table for Pinball Effects. So yeah, I think it's its own thing.
All right, here's the description from Steam. Roxy Raccoon's Pinball Panic is a retelling of the original 3D platformer, this time told through an energetic and unique pinball format. I don't know what this means.
Okay, wow. And am I supposed to know Roxy Raccoon from other media?
Well, from the original 3D platformer, of course.
But not like the cartoon show or
I don't
the
think
live
so.
action movie or anything like that.
I'm just going to read a little bit more here. Break the witch's wicked curse and conquer her many challenges across a wide array of pinball tables, from arenas themed around parks and urban streets to casinos and more. It's okay.
I'm going to check it out.
The genre. You're checking it out? Okay, good. Let me know how it goes. All right, let's get out of the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, where a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Hannah and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. So, we're not going to talk about Nintendo, but we are going to talk about games a little bit.
Yes.
Because you and I used to make up games. Like, I feel like we would do more making up of games than we would playing the games we made up.
Yeah, I think as I was pitching this idea of a topic to you, I was realizing that it was kind of there was some need for us to be game creators. And
Yes.
and because like some of these games we were making up were video gamey, but in like real spaces.
Yeah, we always wanted to add like additional rules to things.
Right.
And I think like the sort of like quintessential like version of this was a game of like sort of tag, sort of like uh capture the flag that we would play with my brother, where he was perpetually it.
Which he
'Cause he-
seemingly was always okay with. So good sport,
yeah,
little
I
bro.
mean, and well, and like it wasn't so much that like he was it, and so that like his goal was different than our goals. You and I shared a goal,
Yeah.
and then he had a separate goal.
Yeah.
Um, and so we would start on the swing set in my backyard and have to, like we would call out for him to like start trying to chase us, right?
Because he
And
started in the front yard.
he started in the front yard, and so we would have to like swing high enough so that like our eyes were level with the bar,
Yep.
and then jump, and then there were things that we had to do before running around to the front of the house and tagging the stone goose in my parents' driveway.
Right. Yeah.
Before Jack could tag us. But then like we kept adding steps to that.
Well, because we kept saying, "Oh, well, there's never any danger of us losing."
Right. Yes. Well, because we'd be playing, and we were like 13 and 14, and Jack was like 8.
Right,
So
yeah, right.
it wasn't particularly fair. But the fact that we kept coming up with these like other little objectives, I think, is sort of like emblematic of the other kinds of games that we would make up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one I had mentioned to you before we started recording, where we made mazes for marbles out of Lego.
Yeah. Yes.
We're-
Which like I did not have. I don't think we had any like complete Lego sets. Like we just had like random Lego pieces. But I love that because then we could just make like little ramps and
Yeah.
mazes and stuff like that. And then the marbles would be like characters on like little quests and stuff.
Yeah, because then like the marble would have to get a sword from the chest over here to be able to defeat the
Right.
troll over here.
Yeah. Why were we doing that?
Because we truly wanted to make video games. I think that's what it was for me, anyway.
Yeah, well, like what was leading us down? Because I feel like some of that we were doing before Hero Quest came into our lives.
Oh, you're right, and that obviously would have been a real big influence too on us.
Yeah, because like Hero Quest is like the quintessential like play a video game but on a board in front of you, or at least that's how I thought of it.
Yeah.
What other like made up games come to mind for you?
The one I always think about is as we were trying to make a ska band, and maybe you were like late junior high, I was in early high school, but around that time, and so we made a card game of all of the people that we were trying to make. Like it was like a Magic the Gathering style, like deck building, trading card game, but it was all the people.
Yeah. All the people in the band. The band was called Escalator,
Right.
which we got from a Magic 8 Ball.
Right. Magic 8 Ball, what should we name our band?
It's at Escalator, and we said, "You got it, 8 Ball." Nailed it. Got it in one. But yeah, but the thing is, like the Escalator card game had like win conditions that were introduced by the cards, which is shoot, we're out of time.
We'll never know.
We'll never know anything more about win conditions introduced by the card. We were accompanied today by a timer on my phone because it's hard for me to manage these things when we are on Zoom here. All right, let's close this section out. Which means it's time for news. Hannah, you ready?
I am ready.
Here we go. We're getting into, because again, weird news week, as a lot of stuff is going on, but I don't want to like do a blow by blow of, there was an Xbox presentation, there was Summer Games Fest, there was all this stuff. But I do have little pieces of news here and there from Summer Games Fest that are either Nintendo related, or we can make them Nintendo related, or whatever. So the first thing I wanted to call out, we were just talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection, a super fun chaser to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which came out the year before. And we got something sort of related to that. Digital Eclipse, the makers of 2022's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, revealed a new arcade-style brawler based on the Power Rangers. The game is called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind. It looks like they took the engine of Shredder's Revenge and put Power Ranger specifics in it.
That's a good sign.
It's a good sign because that game had Shredder's Revenge has a lot of depth to it, and is like a brawler that feels like you are making progress the more you play it. You know,
that was certainly my experience. I think it was very new when I was on the show last time, and I said,
Yes.
"Oh, it just feels like button mashy," and you had said that you were learning it and getting good at it, and then in the weeks following, I was like, "Oh, I am too," and I got that platinum trophy as well.
Yeah, you did. I never did that. But yeah, it's not like me to blindly defend a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing. Let's see. 5-player co-op, obviously, because there are 5 Power Rangers. Each player can control one of the Rangers, and their Zords. I wrote Zoids in the notes here because I don't really know the Power Rangers that well. They're Zords. It is releasing on PC and consoles. They did not specify which consoles, though you have to assume that something like this would be coming to Switch, right?
You would think, yeah.
And it is releasing sometime later this year. Couple questions. You and I are both like a little too old for Power Rangers to have hit us, right?
Just a little bit, yeah. And so that's what I was going to say, is that I don't have any affinity for Power Rangers. And I actually maybe even kind of don't like it, but
yeah,
I don't really know for sure.
I think it's okay to assume that you don't like it. But like, I put up with way dumber stuff in a lot of video games I play, right?
That's true.
So maybe, I don't know. I think this one could probably be fun. I'm however they flesh it out, I think will be cool. And also, like, Digital Eclipse, just keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't stop.
Do you have other properties you'd like to see them make into a brawler?
Ooh.
I'm asking without an answer for myself.
So properties I want them to make into a brawler,
yes.
or like other brawler types that I want them to, because like the Turtles games were very much in this vein already, right?
Right.
So like, would I love to see Digital Eclipse do a Battletoads game? Yeah.
Oh god,
yeah, I would love that.
Thought about that. That'd be amazing, and hopefully actually completable.
Yeah, because those games are too hard.
Yeah,
and sometimes physically impossible. But like other properties that would make a fun. Ooh, I don't know. I guess I don't have another one like locked and loaded. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't. Other than I was just trying to rack my brain when you said, like Turtles already existed as a brawler. I started thinking, would I want like a new Final Fight game? And would they would need to team up with Capcom? And then I was thinking, well, Final Fight and Street Fighter share a universe and characters between the two.
Yes.
I think I want a brawler with Street Fighter characters.
Yeah, with all the Street Fighter characters. Here's, but still no Hagar. Like, still get. Or like a brawler with like the Darkstalkers characters, or like pick a Capcom fighter like that. That'd be really cool. So anyway, games coming out later this year, probably on Switch, but who knows. Next bullet point I've got here: Microsoft released a gameplay reveal trailer for Perfect Dark during the Xbox Game Showcase over the weekend. It's a first-person spy secret agent, and a revival, of course, of the 2000 Rare game that was on Nintendo 64. The gameplay video showed off like shooting, parkour, exploration, infiltration, and some like trippy alien sequences. No release date on this yet, but this is one of the like big games that Microsoft has had like in their back pocket for a while.
Mm-hmm.
The studio working on this is called The Initiative. They were created in 2018 for the sole purpose of creating this game. And at the time, they were pitching it as the first quadruple A game, which is obnoxious. Doesn't mean anything. Uh, and so really the only reason I bring this up, well, let's dance around this for a little while here. The original Perfect Dark on Nintendo 64. I don't believe you have any affinity for that game.
I have
correct?
never played it. I only played a little bit of GoldenEye here and there, and then I was
Right.
aware of Perfect Dark as like this is the new GoldenEye just without a license.
Yes.
And that's about all I know.
Just without a license to kill?
Right.
I'm pretty sure Joanna Dark gets to kill people. Who knows? But yeah, I'm a little bit in that same boat. I mean, I played more GoldenEye at like sleepovers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Perfect Dark sort of missed me just by virtue of when it came out. But it makes this the reveal of the new Perfect Dark game as franchise that's been like long dead / dormant. Is like, does this mean we will be getting the original Perfect Dark coming to Nintendo Switch Online?
Yeah. You would
Like,
think, right?
Well, it seems like Microsoft and especially with the Rare games has been playing like pretty nice with Nintendo lately, right? Like
Right.
we got those 5 Rare games like back in March, I think, maybe February. So yeah, why not this one?
Right.
Thank you to Mese Ace in the Discord for pointing that out. I had not even considered that. But yeah, maybe it is about time Perfect Dark comes to Nintendo Switch Online. And my bet is that it's almost impossible to play.
I would imagine so.
Next bullet point here, Lego, and I don't understand this one.
This is so weird.
I need your help, Hannah. Lego Horizon Adventures has just been announced for Switch as well as PS5, Steam, and Epic Game Store. This is Sony's Horizon series, so Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, just in Lego form. And I know that you are a much bigger Horizon fan than I am. And I want to just get like your reaction to there being a like kind of kiddie, fun, cute Horizon game.
I mean, I think that it has the potential to be fun.
Sure.
It just I don't it's just so strange. It kind of makes me think do you remember that Lego Dimensions Toys to Life game?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get it solely because there was a Portal add-on to it, and I was just starved for more Portal content.
Right.
And I never bid on that, but this kind of feels similar. But I mean, the subject matter specifically of the world building of that world is so dark. I mean, it's
because it's like post-world collapse, right?
It's I don't know if I want to spoil. I mean, the game is 7 years old, but it's post the extinction of the human race.
Sure.
And so it just seems weird.
It's dark. That's dark stuff.
Yeah. So.
Needless, but because it's a Lego game, this has a bright, cheery tone. No release date was shown at the time. Local and online co-op is part of this thing. I did notice they have language here that the co-op is, quote, designed for 2-player action without the need for split screen. And I'm not really sure what they mean by that.
Well, I'm thinking of the early Lego Star Wars games that was co-op with just on one screen. You just couldn't venture too far from each other.
Too far away. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly.
I mean that's my memory of them too. And like I know the Lego games have like always kind of sometimes they'll do like the straight up split screen, sometimes they do the split screen where like the axis of the split like moves around depending on like how far away you are from each other.
Oh,
have
weird.
You experienced this?
I've not.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say the only Lego experience I have is the original 6 Star Wars movies when they got all packaged together, and then the Indiana Jones, which I think I only really played one session with you.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. And of course, almost buying Lego Dimensions. That's your other experience.
Right, right.
What do you make of like is Sony and PlayStation, are they like positioning Horizon to be their like franchise that they explore in other ways? Because like they released that Call of the Mountain game on PlayStation VR 2 last year,
Hmm.
and now like here's we've not seen like been no Lego God of War or whatever, no Bloodborne cart. um so but like Horizon, is that just something that they're like, yeah, we don't know, we like this IP, it's colorful enough that it seems like fun and accessible, and so they're just like pumping it out into these other like game formats?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like robot dinosaurs?
I mean that is hard to argue with. I It also may be that like making it a Lego game just makes it easier to sell Horizon Legos.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, because they did do
uh mhm.
the thing that's basically an apatosaur. I can't remember what it's called in the game. Um,
Yeah.
with a little Aloy minifig. And I wanted it just for the minifig. But I wasn't going to buy the whole set just for that.
I'm just gonna read a little bit from the overview that published with the trailer. Quote: "In a distant future, the land is made of Lego bricks, and incredible dinosaur-like machines roam the Earth. Aloy, the game's leading hero, is found in a cave as a baby and raised by a grizzled huntsman named Rost,
Rost.
Rost, who teaches her the way of the wilds. One day, Aloy embarks on a quest to discover her true identity. Guided by a 1,000-year-old hologram of a scientist called Isabet?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. It's just missing an H.
Well, I mean, it's a hard T. Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Who
Uh,
looks and
mhm.
sounds exactly like Aloy. Hmm.
Hmm. Who's a clone or a robot? We don't know. Aloy must confront Hellas, the leader of the group of sun worshippers who bow to an ancient evil shrouded in mystery. There's much more in store for Aloy and her friends as their adventure sends them across the tallest mountains and deepest cauldrons, all beautifully recreated in Lego elements. So, if we took the word Lego out of there, is that a description of what happens in the first game?
Without spoiling what was my no, I'm not saying I'm going to spoil it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm saying this description is choosing to not spoil what was my favorite entire aspect of the first game, which was the gradual understanding of what happened to the Earth that
Yeah.
led to things being what they are. And that's what I was obsessed with as I was playing the game. Like, I gotta find out more about what happened in the past.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it sounds like this is just a retelling of that story
Sure.
then,
Yeah.
right? That
Yep.
they're not like attempting to tell a new story
Right.
in this setting.
Which
Uh
is good because the second game was ridiculous and very shark jumpy, and I did not like it anywhere near as
oh,
much.
really?
In my
Mm,
personal opinion, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um yeah, I played only the first couple hours of the first one, and have yet to try the second one. But it sounds like if I want to play one, I should just play the first one.
That would be my suggestion. Yeah. Because
Right.
if you remember, it came out like 3 days before Breath of the Wild.
Right.
And so
Yes.
it had the very unfortunate fate of being the last pre Breath of the Wild open world game. And
Yes.
and I got it on sale maybe like 3 months afterwards, after I had gotten all the way through my 100 hours of Breath of the Wild, and I didn't like it. I like didn't like it at all. And I put it down. I stopped playing, and then it was like 2 years later that I kept hearing things about it because people were arguing that that was the better game than Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild, which is still frankly ridiculous. But I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. People keep saying it's so good, and with having some space from Breath of the Wild, then I was finally like, oh, okay, I see why this
Right.
is very awesome. But yeah,
And now it's gonna be a Lego game. So
yeah,
strange. Uh, but uh, but very cool. And again, just like recognizing that we're in this moment where a PlayStation first party game is coming to Switch.
Right.
Weird stuff. Okay. And then my last little bullet point, just from like the roundup of big stuff revealed this week. A new entry in the Life of Strange series called Life is Strange: Double Exposure is announced and coming to other platforms on October 29th and coming to Switch, quote, at a later date. So we're still playing that game of things are going to come to Switch a little bit later. And this is the first entry in the Life is Strange series since the original to refocus on the first game's protagonist, Max Caulfield. I am not a Life is Strange player, but I know this is a big deal, so just wanted to shout it out. Are you familiar with the series at all?
No, it's a little bit of a shame spot for me because it's been on my long list to get to for a very long time, and I just haven't carved out the time.
Well, you'll be happy to know that now there's another one to add to the backlog.
With each one that comes out, it's like less and less likely that I'm gonna get to.
Yeah. It's I wonder, like, if I like search my soul and I'm honest with myself, how many of that kind of thing I have in my life where I'm like, I'll get into that someday, and then they keep putting out more stuff.
Yep.
And it's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Horizon, probably one of those. Okay. Now, outside of the just sort of announcements from Summer Game Fest stuff, Yacht Club Games, publisher of the Shovel Knight series, Cyber Shadow, and the upcoming Mina the Hollower, has announced the 2024 edition of their online showcase. Tune in on Friday, June 14th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Yacht Club is celebrating, and they call this out in the announcement. They are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Shovel Knight, which makes me feel old. And the show will include, quote, announcements, special events, merchandise, and surprises. I'm a big Shovel Knight head.
I'm aware of that.
And I am excited to try Mina the Hollower, which looks like it's a Link's Awakening like, but we've not really seen much of that lately. Look, there's probably a Nintendo Direct coming up within the next week. Am I more excited about this Yacht Club game showcase? Probably not, but I'm very interested. Is this something that interests you, the Yacht Club games?
I've only played the original main Shovel Knight, which I did very much enjoy. So it's not, if this would have said Drink Box instead of Yacht Club, then I would.
Sure.
So it's not that level for me, but they have a good reputation, so maybe it's worth checking out.
Is Drink Box your Yacht Club?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
A Nobody Saves the World tattoo and a T-shirt as well. So, yeah, and 4 platinum trophies.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, so it sounds like you're calling me out a little bit. Like I need to get a Shovel Knight tattoo or something.
There you go.
Fully recommend the Spectre of Torment quest from the original Shovel Knight. It's so good.
Yeah. What was the first additional quest that came out?
Yeah. It was the Plague Knight one.
It was not good. Figure out how to move him. Like I was on a plane. That was going to be my plane game. And I played it for like 10 minutes and I was just like, nope, not playing this.
Yeah. The Plague of Shadows.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But yeah, Plague Knight controls really confusingly because he's got like a double jump and you have to like release a charged up shot to like get a little extra height. So it's the kind of complicated movement that I guess if you're good at it, like will feel really great. But like I could never wrap my head around it. In the Spectre Knight stuff, you are doing all of this like kind of quick air dashing and like dashing through enemies and like different little waypoints. So you can like fly through levels. It's so satisfying and so good.
Nice.
Yeah, Spectre of Torment is great. Yeah, so I'll tune into this and think about what my Shovel Knight tattoo is gonna have to be. It's so next item here on the news, not Nintendo related because Street Fighter 6 is not on Switch, but I think you and I got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Capcom revealed the second DLC character pack for Street Fighter 6. The lineup is going to grow by 4 characters, including Terry and Mai from the SNK fighting games, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. And then the other characters joining are Street Fighter 3's Elena and M. Bison, aka the Dictator. Let's put Elena and M. Bison off to the side because, like, whatever. They show up in a lot of these games now.
Okay.
Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. What's happening?
Now all of the Fatal Fury characters need to be in my Digital Eclipse brawler that I'm asking for too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, like I thought when I saw the announcement, I think the headline that I saw specifically referenced Terry, and like that would have been interesting and weird enough.
Yes.
Maybe that's significantly less weirder to have like one guest character.
Well, and I think there's also the thing of like Terry is in Smash Brothers as well.
Right.
So like
right.
There's Terry and Ryu have already shared the screen in a Nintendo game.
Yep.
But yeah, the adding Mai is the thing that where I'm like, whoa, can we expect more of these in the future?
Yeah, exactly.
And if not more of these, like more like guest characters from like elsewhere, right?
Yeah, Charlotta from Samurai Showdown would be my pick.
That would be great. But yeah, it's I feel like Street Fighter is not really known for doing guest characters, right? Like the Final Fight characters, yeah, but they're sort of like incorporated into the same world. Yeah, I mean, if this opens the floodgates for like anyone, like. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. How have you kept up with your Street Fighter 6 in?
I have not as much as I wanted to. I played it pretty avidly for maybe 2 months. I put way more time than I expected to, like 40 hours into World Tour mode, the story mode.
Oh yeah.
And was maybe a 500 player. Online, which is my experience with Street Fighter 4 as well, was that, I went about half of the matches and then took a super long break until maybe 3 months ago. And my buddy was over here and we just decided to play some matches and something unlocked in my brain. Oh. And I was just, I don't know what it was. It was, I saw through the Matrix or something. For me, let me be clear. Like, some of these people, some of these people, what they do with fighting games is unreal. But I was doing really good with a different character that I had never really played, and then I went back online with her to see like, oh, what can I do with her? And I did my 10 placement matches, and it put me at platinum level, which I think the best I got was a silver with my quote unquote main. And then I was like, well, I can't play her anymore because I'm going to be against
you got
all
a new
of these.
main now.
Well, no, I can't play with this new character because I'm going to be matched up against other platinum players. That's not. I just got really lucky on the placement matches. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, whatever. It's you were winning matches. A win is a win. That's awesome. I got to get back to 6. Came out at a bad busy time for me game wise, and then I never went back. But yeah, that game's cool. We should play some.
I would like that. Yeah, we should meet up.
Will you be picking up? Oh, did you get the 4 characters in the first pack?
I did not. I think you mentioned you did, right? And you specifically were playing Akuma.
I was playing Akuma.
I had thought about picking it up just for him. Rashid has never been my favorite. And then there was that Aki person who's like a poison character.
Yeah.
Not poison the character, but a character who uses poison.
Right. And not poison like the Belle Biv DeVoe song.
Right.
And not
the 80s
and not poison like the rock band,
metal band, yeah.
Yeah, it would, and that because who's the poison guy in Street Fighter 5? Fang.
There it is. Yeah. I definitely just aesthetically did not like him at all.
Yeah.
And I get similar vibes from Aki. So
yeah, 100%.
And I can't remember who the fourth one. Rashid, Aki, Akuma.
Yeah, I don't I don't remember either.
Yeah.
I bought them as part of the like when I bought the game, I bought the like
Oh, cool.
the version of it that had that in it. So
Yeah.
now I got to make a decision. Like, is it worth it to me to? I mean, probably to play the King of Fighters characters.
Right.
Yeah. And also, I like M. Bison. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred um, the other M. Bison, who we
Sure.
call Balrog.
Right, the boxer.
Yes, because he was my main in 4, and gotta get my fight money.
My fight money.
Uh,
Also, I just love that they refuse to rename his special moves so that they're all still references to his name being
to
M.
like
Bison.
bisons. And...
Yeah, and buffalo and stuff. Yeah. It's really dumb. And finally, the Animal Crossing New Horizons Aquarium Experience is coming to additional aquariums later this year. The initial event was held at the Seattle Aquarium and included Animal Crossing photo ops with characters from the game, themed signage with descriptions from Blathers, standees of Animal Crossing characters, and a meet and greet with Isabelle, Tom Nook, or KK Slider. Quick note that the or seems to be an operative conjunction there, that those characters appear based on like availability.
Okay,
and I don't know what that means, that they only like bring one costume to each of these events. But, you know, fun to get your picture taken with Isabelle, Tom Nook, or KK Slider. It's coming to a couple different aquariums. There's one in South Carolina, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, one in New Orleans, one in Atlanta, one in Newport, Oregon, one in Boston, one in Tempe, Arizona, and then in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Not coming to the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, which is like my go-to.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You know, I would maybe think about taking the Amtrak down there, especially because I've gotten super into the WNBA. Like a whole lot of people recently, and would like to go down there to check out a Sky game sometime. And, you know, that would be a cool thing to supplement on the trip.
And the Chicago Sky, they play at the aquarium? Is that
no?
This is such a weird thing that they do. Like, I know that the museum and like the aquarium part of the museum were you know, big in Animal Crossing, especially when the game came out, because it felt like you can't go to a museum anymore, and like now this game will let you go to a museum. But it's just funny that they're like, yeah, I don't know, we have a traveling aquarium show. Why not?
Yeah, that's cool. I like it though.
Yeah, I do too. All right, that's the news. Let's close the segment out. Hannah, thank you so much for joining me for this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been a blast. Is there anything that you want to plug or tell people about on our way out here?
Really?
No big deal.
Not doing the podcast anymore, so I can't even really shout that out. So, yeah. Just
well, I mourn its loss every day. Roman Wings Tabletop Podcast. I'll shout it out, even if it may not be long for the internet. Check it out while it's still there. It's all about tabletop games.
Yep, and a lot of other stuff.
That's true, but that's like the structure of it is talking about an in-depth dive into an individual tabletop game.
Yep.
And is a good fun time. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, join the Discord if you're not in there already. And Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Hannah Pfarr, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.